Sebastien, Ryan, can you guys share just to make sure that you can share your screen?
Yep. Let me make sure this works. All right. Look at that. Cool beans.
Right. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Golden.
Let's
Okay.
stop with that. Stop share. Perfect. Cool. Hey, make sure if there's a need to update anything. I forgot to look real quick. I thought I grabbed the right one. Things
That
are
could be
constantly
embarrassing.
changing. Yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully, like there's a lot of good things in there.
As long as you're not missing anything. Nothing
I don't think we're
egregious.
missing. No, nothing bad. We're good. Nothing silly. All right, cool. Yeah, we're good to go. I can. Nick, do you envision an hour? How long do you want to?
Yeah, I always envision an hour, but recently it's always 1 hour and more. So I guess we can talk for 10 minutes each, and then we can wait more on the Q&A because we already have some questions from people who cannot join. So ideally, now we should have more in the Q&A.
What's up, Mina?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, Mina, you almost missed the train, man. I was just going quiet on YouTube, and I said, no, we're going quiet. If Mina joins. If he doesn't join, he doesn't.
I joined an hour ago. What are you talking about? I joined an hour ago.
I know. Yeah. So, okay, guys. So we're live on LinkedIn. So let's start, guys. I'll share my screen and we'll feel why we're here together with these guys. A second, share my screen and we can get started. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining our 5th webinar of the year. I'm Nick Penev, partnership manager with hellotax and the founder of the Extreme Power brand. As you know, we do these events every month, and we do that for a reason, just to get the best speakers and to cover the hottest topics. So today we're gonna chat about the Amazon expansion roadmap. We continue the series from last month. So what we're gonna talk about today: taxes, PPC, payments, exit, and payout. So the idea is how you can do a successful Amazon brand in 2022, how you can start from the beginning until then. And the speakers today are Sebastien, head of business development from Accel, Ryan, Cramer from PingPong, which is one of the biggest fintechs in the e-commerce space. And then the other speaker is Mina Elias. He's the founder of Trivium brands, MMA Nutrition, and he is a PPC expert. And I'm going to cover the VAT topic, at the beginning, because no matter where you expand, taxes always comes first. And just to give you some background about the speakers today, I haven't planned it, but as a matter of fact, all of us have experience in sports. For example, Sebastien used to play almost professional hockey. So right now what he's doing is breaking the ice with partners and brands in the space because the aggregator space is very competitive. Ryan, he's doing home runs with hitting and finding great partners for his show and for PingPong, and doing strikeouts with the people who are not reliable because people are like that and not all are good. And Mina, he is an MMA fighter, and he's fighting in the most competitive niche in the Amazon industry, PPC, and he's an expert in that. And I used to play soccer. I used to be division champion in California. So we're all into sports, and Amazon is a very competitive sport. So this is why we're doing these events, to give you the best tips, case studies, and you guys need to do the next step, just to go ahead and take advantage of that. So here is the, here we have some sponsors today, which are helping us, get more engagement for the event. One of them is the gold sponsor is Black Table Advisor, John Elder. He is a very close partner of mine. You can take advantage of his offer, get 25 off all consulting service with Black Table Advisor. He used to run set up an Amazon brand from 0 to 10 million, which he exited. He's helping other sellers launch, scale, and exit their brands right now. So you can get that consultation, value 250, and you'll send an email with more details after that. Then the silver sponsor is Chelsea Cohen, another close partner of mine. She's the founder of SoulStop, which is an inventory management software. So instead of dealing with Excel, you can use her software and you can save a lot of time and money on your site. So you get 3 months of free service, which is the value is $500, and you can sign up with her. I'll send the details in the follow-up email after that. And the last sponsor for the event today is Zonguru. They're a close partner of mine. John Pitt is the founder. They're all one of the best SEO tools for Amazon sellers in the space. In case you guys are researching to start selling to new market or to do reports for agents, they have one of the best tools in the space, and they have a free trial for all the people who joined today. So now enough about our sponsors. Here are the topics. First, VAT compliance in the EU. How to overcome expansion blocker number 1. Then Ryan is going to tell you more about avoiding financial pitfalls while building an international brand, because once you start making a lot of money, you need to optimize and cut your costs, and this is what they're doing and much more. So to tell you more details. Then Mina is going to tell you about the PPC, and the exact topic he's going to cover is understanding the different cycles in PPC and setting goals and pulling levers. And then, if you guys are done with the PPC, you have optimized your cost, you have grown your business, then one day you might decide to exit your brand. And when you do that, Accel for one of the companies that can help out. To tell more how to you can guys prepare for an exit strategy and what the process looks like then. And of course, at the end we're gonna have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat in the Q&A section. If you need to leave, don't worry, you can watch the recording after that. So that's it. If you like the webinar, tell us in the chat. If you don't like, don't tell anything, we don't want to know. So here is what we do in hellotax. What problem are we solving? Now we're solving the VAT compliance when sellers are expanding to Europe, which is a must. I mean, if you don't have a VAT, you cannot sell. It's simple as that. The hellotax software was built 6 years ago by 2 ex-Amazon sellers. I used to be a client of hellotax before I sold my brands. And I know for reason why companies are using that for consolidation and easy management when you're expanding across Europe. So, and somebody will say, okay, why should I care for Europe? These guys are fighting a war. I know, man, we're weird. We speak different languages. Sometimes we do dumb stuff. But from the business perspective, it's a huge market. It's a huge revenue growth potential. 400+ million new potential customers for you guys, 27 new countries. You can transform your brand from a small one, from a local country to a global one, because the European market is bigger than the US one, and it's still underdeveloped. If your competitors are not selling here, if you expand, you're gonna take them over. So, and the last part is, of course, you order more stock, there's cost reduction, bigger volumes of sourcing. So what are the main blockers now when expanding Europe? First one is language. We speak multiple languages, but don't worry for that. They have closer partners who can help out with that. So you got that covered. Then the next thing is VAT and customs and logistics. So hellotax covers the VAT, but they have close partners who cover the customs and the logistics. So we can connect with those and they can help out with that. So what do you need to know about the VAT? Because without VAT, you cannot sell anywhere in Europe. Few things that you must know. You need to know what's your VAT liability from the past and the present in all the European countries where you're operating. You need to register for VAT in one or more countries. You need to have a full view of your good movement between the different countries in the European Union, and you need to have a complete visibility on all your sales channels, Amazon, Shopify, your any website, whatever. That's your responsibility. So somebody would ask, okay, but you're scaring us. Okay, I'm not, but actually we're guiding you guys. So where should we start in Europe? Because there is different complexity in regards to the VAT registrations. For example, Poland, Germany are one of the easiest ones, and Spain is one of the hardest ones. So whenever you start selling in Europe, we always recommend start with one market. Germany is the ideal one, UK as well, and I'll tell you in more details why exactly we recommend that. But Poland, Germany are the easiest ones. Spain is the worst one. So Spain should be the last market that we expand in the EU on Amazon, for example. So why do you need to set a VAT? Before we used to have a distance selling threshold limit. Now we don't need to worry about that with the introduction of the one-stop shop. Once you hit 10,000 euro, you can opt in for that. So that's much easier. But it's actually much easier for companies to start selling right now. Then, second reason, when you store products or goods in any given country, if you store in one market, you need one VAT registration. If you store in multiple ones, you need to have registration in each one of them. So that's very important, you know. You need to have a contract and then you can get your VAT. So this is how it works. So one good news now, we had Brexit last year, but from March, a month and so ago, Amazon enabled the EFN network so you can fulfill orders from the UK to the EU and vice versa without going for customs. And all the Amazon sellers who are selling products with the value under 150 euro, they can take advantage of that. So what you need to do, you need to have access both to the UK and the EU seller center accounts. You need to have offers of your products in both the UK and the EU. Inventory need to be eligible in the local fulfillment centers. You need to be enable the shipping programs and export settings in your account. So that, just to summarize really simply, right now Brexit doesn't matter for sellers selling items with a value under 150 euros. So remember that, which is a huge relief because companies doing millions stopped selling after Brexit. So right now, all these guys are resuming to start selling in the EU from the UK and vice versa. The only catch here is that if you're selling over 150 euro, you need to go for customs. So this doesn't apply for you guys. And I mean, the best thing about UK sellers right now is when you do that, Amazon is going to collect the VAT and pay that to the tax authority for the EU. So you don't need to worry about actually paying any VAT. Of course, you still need to do the reports, but this is something that you need to do for any market that you sell. But you need just one VAT in the UK to do that. You don't need multiple ones. So we just covered some topics. So let's say if you would like to start in Europe. So this is the thing that we always recommend. Because if you go to Amazon, Amazon is going to tell you, okay, guys, go ahead and do the funny. Okay, that's bullshit, man. You should never listen to them. You know, they make money on the piece, but that would be a huge burden and huge mess if you start doing 7 or 8 VAT registration at once. So don't do that. Always start with one, ideally Germany, because Germany is the biggest market after Amazon.com in the States, central location in Europe. You can use that as a dispatch and you can deliver from Germany to all the other EU markets, and you need just one VAT. And the good news is, if you're like a US seller, you have an advantage. You get the VAT in like a month because there is not a huge backlog. And besides that, they accept documents in English, so you don't need translation. So remember that for German. Then, of course, UK is an option right now with the EFN enablement, but still, you should choose one of those. And then, based on your sales, you can expand to the other markets and set up the VAT in each market where you store goods. But remember, start with one and then expand. Customs, we have a customs partner who works with all our e-commerce sellers, so we'll cover that for you. We'll issue the IORI number and everything else. We just need to import the goods. If you sell on Shopify or any D2C platform, you will need to have the OSS registration, which allows you to store goods in one market and fulfill across the whole European Union. So remember that, you know, you store goods, you need one VAT. You store goods in multiple locations, you need multiple VATs. So, and like I said, start with one, Germany or the UK. And of course, we're going to do the VAT monthly filings or plus the OSS quarterly, guys, if you need the OSS as well. So hellotax provide a software where you can simply connect your account on Amazon, we get the data, we file the reports on your behalf, you just log in your tool, you've done all the data and you paid that. You know, you have full visibility of your data, your transactions, we verify everything there, and we upload all the information that you need to just do the payment. So it's an Amazon automated solution built for sellers for the managed service on the backend. We have a free VAT software, so we'll send that in the follow-up email. You can check it out, you can use it, you don't need to pay. You only pay when you guys are going ahead and do the VAT registration. So, and that's it, guys. Now we have a giveaway. We give away 6 VAT registrations. So if you want to get started, I'll send you an email after the event and you can claim the offer. But right now, let's stop talking about these taxes, man. Every time when I talk about taxes, you know, I get crazy. So let's talk about some pleasant stuff. And the other stuff is here, you know, I have an agency, partnership with a service agency. I work with thousands of brands, and today, and partners, and today we're gonna cover the next topics. Once you've covered the VAT, you've established yourself in Europe, then you go to stage number 2, you know, Forex exchange. So what do you do with payments? No, you guys in Europe have so many currencies. No, how do I do that? No, every time I lose money on the transfer. So Ryan, you know, they're one of the biggest fintechs in the space, PingPong. So
right.
I'll let him introduce himself because he's a webinar, he's a podcast host, and he's running the partner there. So tell us, Ryan, how can you take over from taxes and what you guys do for the sellers? And thank you.
That's a good point. Yeah, thanks, Nick, for having us on. I also saw in the comment section, I don't know if there's a whistling or something like that too. So I just wanted to, I don't think it was any of us. So I don't know if it was your mic or not, but I know that was a comment section from a couple people. So just as a FYI, I wasn't sure if you got that. Can everyone see my screen? I think I got the wrong one. So let me try to grab it one more time. I'm Ryan Cramer. I am the partnerships marketing manager here at PingPong Payments. What does that mean? It means a lot. It means I talk a lot on things like this webinar. I have a podcast called Crossover Commerce. My background, why that actually matters is because I've had various, I call it e-commerce bingo. I've worked for different capacities and different companies in the e-commerce and Amazon space before. I used to be work for a wholesale manufacturer company in the home gift card and decor area back in 2014 and 15. And through growth marketing, did partnerships and growth from 6 figures my first year and 7 figures my next year. So I have been a seller just on the direct to consumer side. Walked away, actually worked in the MBA and WMBA for a couple of years. And let me go ahead and start to go through our thing. There you go. A little bit about me. WMBA and MBA for a couple seasons. And then after that, I was also really trying to get back into e-commerce and the Amazon side of things. So I worked for a SaaS company called Viral Launch for about a year under the guise of Casey Goss, doing affiliates and partnerships and working with influencers and growing that team. And then I've been working with PingPong after being recruited over here for 2 years now. Was collaborating with somebody I think has been on this webinar, Tim Jordan. He was collaborating with PingPong at the time, reached out to me, thought there was a good fit, and the rest is kind of history. So through this, we've been able to talk about PingPong and the growth opportunities with us in our services that we offer, cross-border payments. It doesn't seem like a lot, but what my goal is today is to give a really comprehensive and brief overview of, as comprehensive as a brief overview of 10 minutes I have, to kind of walk through some of the financial pitfalls that people have to be aware of in terms of international growth, right? That's what we're all talking about to get ready for that hopeful exit or just to take your brand to the next level. So in that capacity, I called it avoiding five financial pitfalls while building an international brand. Just for verification, if you guys can't see it or anything like that, just let me know. I will be more than happy to kind of play around with my my stats here. But let me go ahead and make sure everything's good to go. Number one, whoops, there we go. Number one, high foreign exchange rates. A lot of people don't realize that once you start to sell internationally in a market other than the United States or your own local market, you have to take into account something called foreign exchange rates. What does that mean? Well, if I'm selling I'm in the United States selling in Canada, I will be receiving Canadian dollar from the Canadian marketplace. Amazon will do something that a lot of people don't think about, and they will convert that for you for the niceties that Amazon does, and they exchange it for you at their pretty exorbitant rates. So just at the end of the day, what does that mean? They will convert your revenue after all the fees, the taken out, obviously the referral fees, storage fees, any sort of other additional fees that you might incur or programs they may be a part of. And at the end of the day, they're still taking money from you to convert it to your local bank account. That can be anywhere from 2 to 4%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about 6 or 7 figures as a seller, that is a lot. And as you continue to grow your business and you start to open up in different markets and you start to accept different currencies and operate in different marketplaces, a little bit here, a little bit there, we call it death by 1,000 paper cuts is what I like to say. So you want to make sure you have your handle on high foreign exchange rates. So when you're talking about banks or making payments, whether outbound or inbound, you have the ability to have some ownership over what you're paying. So that's through companies like a PingPong, where we actually take away some of the gates that old archaic banking systems have in place. The more gates you go through, just think about that. It's like a toll. The more tolls you have to go through, the more you're paying in that capacity. We've actually worked with tier 1 banks to eliminate some of the high exchange rate fees and brought those down for sellers. So that's really ultimately what's the benefit for you as a seller. The less that you have to handle with, the more money you get to take home at the end of the day. So that's number one, high foreign exchange rates. Be aware of what you're paying at the end of the day, whether it's sending funds or receiving it. Number two is sourcing scams, something that no one wants to think about or talk about, but is reality no matter what capacity you're in. Things to look out for. Changes, if there's changes in payments for the recipient at the last minute, always be aware that this is one of the most common and frustrating scams that people encounter. I know there's sellers in the room that are shaking their heads. They're like, yep, I've either heard horror stories or have been aware of people that have encountered this sort of situation. It's hard to detect until the last minute if you are changing the recipient's information. It's more than likely so that you can't track it as a seller. Be aware of that. Asking for additional payments for customs clearance, that's not a deal breaker, but obviously you want to make sure that it's in the front side of things and negotiating rates with suppliers and manufacturers, making sure that you are aware of that capacity and making sure if there's any additional requests, those are all taken care of in the upfront before payment is about to be sent on your end. Only accepting payment through a Western Union or telegraphic transfer or TT. It's never under any circumstances should you make a wire transfer to a supplier. I say that if you're used to that, there's actually newer, more transparent ways that you can see where your money is going. Western Union never leaves almost no paper trail and is the most common way for a scammer accepts payments. A company like PingPong and most other payment services are very diligent in looking out for fraud. So we've always verified before you send any payment to a new entity to make sure they're a legitimate individual. So it's protective and it's compliance wise. We want to make sure that money is being sent to a legitimate entity. And if you don't know that, there's those backgrounds and those safety measures in place. The other things that you might be aware of as well, if it potentially is a scam, is payment info does not match the factory. This is something that if they are, you want to make sure that the legitimate factory or supplier, you always want to make sure it's a legitimate bank account. There are 4 major banks in China. This is just a really easy nugget to understand that are almost always certainly will use, entities will use the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China or the ICBC, the China Construction Bank, the Agricultural Bank of China, and the Bank of China. So if it's not one of those 4 entities and they're asking for payment outside of those 4 realms, make sure that you do your due diligence and making sure it's potentially a scam. So those are your things to look out for. Hopefully no one's run into that on this call. So, but things to definitely look out for. Number 3 in my list of 5 things to be aware of, pitfalls to look out for, poor supplier relationship management. And I think this is something that everyone's going through and growing pains on a consistent basis. Understand your supplier environment. Most retail businesses have problem with cash flow, understandably so. These problems arise when income is tied directly to inventory. So if you are constantly trying to negotiate with the supplier, just have them understand what your whether it be rates or the payout structure or the terms of your agreements. Just know what conditions are for resources in terms of manual labor or cost of goods. Obviously, if you're looking right now, there's lots of electricity outages in Chinese factories. There's also a lot of high costs when it comes to goods, raw goods and materials. So be aware of if you're working in something in those capacities, understanding those costs and know that there could be delays in that regards. But also know you want to have the good relationships too, instead of yelling at them or always complaining. You want to know when holidays are, the fiscal year is for suppliers, because not only is it important for you to be aware of their surroundings, but also making sure that you can understandably so know when the rates might increase. After Chinese New Year, that is very traditional when fiscal year starts. So that's at the end of February, beginning of February, depends on the time of year, or every year depends. But after Chinese New Year is typically when the fiscal year starts for suppliers and manufacturers. So understandably so, when that happens, there's going to be rates that potentially increase for your cost of goods. So be aware of that when you're planning around that. And just know payment options. Obviously, it's good to always know that the accepting of payments can obviously, which ways you pay them out. Number 4, I'm going to make sure I bust through this as quickly as possible. Catching marketplace shiny object syndrome. Just find the right marketplace for you. As you can see, there's all these opportunities available for you to be a seller. Know which one fits your product and fits your audience that you can reach. A lot of people choose Amazon, obviously, and rightfully so. But a lot of people, you might hear, oh, be on direct to consumer, or be on Mercado Libre or Rakuten, or sell on Facebook Marketplace, or sell on all these different locations. They're all fantastic, but make sure you find the right one at scale, which is the right one for you as a product, as a brand, as an entity that you can handle that growth as well. Don't feel paralysis by analysis and feel like you have to be everywhere. Be in the right places at the right time. I think a lot of people shake their head and say, yes, of course, duh, Ryan, but it is a thing that a lot of people encounter. And number 5, blindly using Amazon products. We are an Amazon partner participant in their programs, but there's better options out there, and like a PingPong payments, blindly using Amazon currency converter for sellers, or ACCS. What is that? A lot of people might think, oh, Amazon products are going to be helpful. They are in some capacity, but they might be costly. The convenience comes cost, but knowing with ACCS, it's a Amazon currency converter for sellers. They will convert funds in international markets for you for convenience back to your bank account. But what they charge is you can see right there in the breakdown. There is a real life breakdown of what it looks like, what Amazon's charging you versus what a company like PingPong obviously is charging in those capacities. If you're a 5 or 6 figure seller in different marketplaces, the savings on a monthly basis don't look so crazy. But as you scale and as your business grows and as you open different marketplaces, there's going to be fantastic savings versus Amazon, just in the fact that you can save a couple points and put it to your bottom line. Pay people like Mina to do your PPC, or invest in your bottom line. It's giving me a thumbs up. Or invest more in products, or making that turn another turn in your inventory calendar year. A lot of those add up to things that Sebastian's going to talk about, making yourself more profitable. So putting more, he's giving me a thumbs up too. I'm hitting all the notes here, Nick. Making sure that you know where you have financial responsibility to put towards your bottom line, make yourself profitable, and not leaving money on the table. I think education like that is very important. And a lot of people kind of skate past that as of course, Amazon has all these solutions in place, but they're not always the right ones for you. So that's kind of the things that I wanted to talk about today. They're very high level. And of course, obviously, how can PingPong support your global ambition? We set us apart because you can help save money when it's paying suppliers or manufacturers, or paying out VAs and entities around the world. You can send payments to 170 different countries worldwide and receive 12 major currencies, and open up bank accounts so you don't have to have a physical entity in them. I won't bore you with all the details, but it is important and imperative. Like Nick said, we're one of the largest in the world that support e-commerce sellers in every country, most major countries in the world. And we're growing quickly. We have over 1 million customers worldwide. And we've done over, I think these I think we've done over $100 billion in cross-border payments now. So every year we're continuously growing as e-commerce grows. Just know where your money kind of lives and it can be supported in. This is just a really a big international. If you're looking at these different countries and you're like, yep, this is my goal. This is what we're going to enter these markets this year. You should definitely check us out in order for us to help save you money and time. If you're in the market for someone like VAT or hellotax, I should say, services, you're going to need someone like a PingPong and Play as well. So that being said, there's things I could tell you about what we offer, all the testimonials I can give you about anywhere from small sellers to aggregators like a Perch or Accel Club or anything like that worked with us are being super successful as they grow their brands internationally. So yeah, I know that there's other ways, and we'll have links in the descriptions and all the places. I'll point on all the screens to make sure that where we are going to have offers, I'm sure we'll talk about at the end, but that's my 10 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. So guys, do you hear the whistling from my side again? Still?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, man, what's up? What's up now? Do you hear anything?
It's better.
Better.
I think we're better.
Yeah.
Okay, what about now?
It's back.
It's again?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I think the solution is you got to invest in a mic like Ryan has.
And I don't want to invest in anything, but
Gotta
then
put your money,
so-
yep,
so
put
do-
your
do
money
you
where your
hear
mouth
right
is,
now the
literally.
sound? I don't use anything. Do you hear me? Do you guys hear me?
That's a lot better, Nick. Yeah,
Yeah, much better.
I would use that.
I'll talk like that, So funny or not, see the webinar host, he doesn't have proper mic. So anyways,
It's back.
listen for me. I'll get a new mic. I do so many webinars, I don't have anyway. So guys, we've covered the taxes. Now we've covered the fintech part. And as you see, Ryan, PingPong, they have 1 million servers. They have that many servers for reasons. The more they grow, the better rates they can offer you guys, so you can save a lot. So once you've optimized your your brand, you have expanded internationally, then you need to go and do the real fight. You need to fight on the PPC ring, because if you don't, it's very unlikely that anybody's going to understand you have a great brand. No matter how good is your brand, if you don't have exposure, nobody knows about it. Mina is the king here. He's one of the best, if not the best, in the PPC field. So he's going to tell what he's doing and how you can take your PPC and your brand to the next level. So thanks, Mina, and enough from the whistling guy. I'm muting myself.
Enough from the whistling guy. That's funny. So thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to share some cool stuff today. So obviously, after you've used PingPong payments and saved thousands of dollars on your transactions, you can now put them to use with PPC. So the what I'm going to cover today is understanding how that there's two modes when it comes to PPC. Most people look at PPC as in like very small bits and pieces, but they never look at it in like a general sense. And I think a big portion of that is because of the lack of data visibility. And you just don't get good visibility in Campaign Manager. You're trained to look at ACOS, which is not a great number. And people miss the point of why do we run ads. So I'll give a quick intro on myself. My name is Mina Elias, aka the Egyptian Prescription. I run an agency called Trivium Group. We're an Amazon advertising agency partner. So we basically are a partial team that integrate with your team. It's very transparent. You don't get a person in between. Everyone who's doing the work, you're communicating directly with them. And we operate your ads and we report directly to you. So I started a supplement brand in 2018. My background's in chemical engineering and chemistry. I graduated with my master's, worked in corporate, didn't like what I was doing. I also started fighting MMA in 2013. And so in 2018, I decided to start a supplement brand in hopes of getting out of my 9-to-5 job. I ended up starting MMA Nutrition, which was an electrolyte powder that enhances performance. We grew it and scaled it on Amazon. And I really became popular in PPC because that was the only way I could succeed with a supplement brand, right? Because all of the big players are spending, millions on the top of search, first page for all of the major keywords. So I had to figure out how can I make sales without, losing money, because I only had $500 when I started on my credit card, and then I was just reinvesting everything back. But eventually got really good, started sharing information. We ended up helping a few brands to start one aggregator, and it took off from there. And so I've been doing this for myself a lot, for my own brands. And obviously, if you make a mistake for clients, it's no big deal. When you make a mistake for your own brands, you're losing all of your money. And so I'm always very relentless into testing and understanding. And one thing that I noticed from going to a lot of conferences is people who are running Facebook and Google ads are way ahead of us. They're light years ahead of the PPC crew, the Amazon PPC crew. And so I started talking to them more to get a better understanding of Amazon PPC. And so what I'm going to share with you is basically how I look at it, and I'm going to share with you the template too. So I'll include the template in the link in the chat. Anyone can access it. Just copy it and use it for yourself. And I'm going to help you understand that there's really the true purpose of Amazon advertising is to drive traffic into your listings at the cheapest price possible. And so there's two ways to go about this. The first way is to run ads and then constantly audit the ads and see where you're spending money and cut that down, and where you're making money and scale that. And that's going to come also in the form of, initially, you don't know what keywords are working, what keywords aren't working. And so you're going to launch a bunch of keywords. You're going to see what's working, what's not working. Whatever is working, you keep it. Whatever is not, you pull it out. And then you launch a new set. So initially, your test budget will be 100% of your budget. And then later on, as you get more and more keywords and product targets that are working and profitable, your test budget starts becoming as a lower percentage. So I'm going to share quickly my screen here. So I took some screenshots from some of the analytics that we have. So hopefully, how is the size? Is it good or is it too small? Good. Okay, cool. So initially, I was getting all of my analytics in terms of a snapshot, right? So it was, someone will say, or someone from my team will say, Mina, in the last 30 days, here's our spend, here's our sales, here's our tacos, and all of this and all of that. And I'm like, okay, good. Like, is that good or is it not good? I don't know, right? What am I comparing it to? And so I kept asking myself, are we getting better or are we not getting better? And so I would go into Campaign Manager and then I would look at the trend, and the trend would say, okay, here's your sales. They're going up. I'm like, okay, great. What about my spend? My spend is also going up. I'm like, okay, what about ACOS? ACOS is all over the place. Fine. What about profits? You can't really show profits. And so it was a struggle to identify what was going on in my campaign. So I developed this analytics dashboard, and it works on week segments, like week by week segments. And so you can see the PPC spend here, and then the PPC spend a week later, sales a week later, overall sales a week later. If we go back to the purpose of Amazon advertising, it's to bring people into the listing. All you can do with Amazon PPC is to show your ads in front of people. So people are searching keywords. You're going to take those keywords, you're going to launch campaigns with those keywords. You're going to show your ads in front of people. People are going to say, okay, this is cool, I'm interested in it. They're going to click. And then the rest of the heavy lifting is done by your listing to hopefully convert your listing, your main image, other images, your title, bullet points, description, your reviews, star rating, questions, videos on the listing, all of that kind of stuff. And so too many people are looking at their PPC spend and their overall sales, but not enough people are also tracking their unit session percentage, their conversion rate. Not enough people are looking at their cost per session. Not enough people are looking at the sessions, because the connection is not there yet. Whenever we run ads and we go from 700 in a week to 1800 in a week, I increased my ad spend immediately. What I'm supposed to see is an increase in sessions. And so if I increased my ad spend by 162%, how much did my sessions go up by? They went up by 41%, almost. And so that tells me we moved in the right direction. That's good, but we might have overspent a little bit on ads. Then I look at my conversion rate. Conversion rate looks fine, right? Not a huge change, from 5.69 to 4.94. I look at my cost per session. My cost per session is going to be the cost of driving traffic into my listing. So that number, that's the goal, to get it as low as possible. And there's two ways to get it as low as possible. The first way is by being very efficient with the ads. And the second way is by ranking for keywords organically. So the more keywords you rank for organically, the more free traffic you're going to get. So that increases that session number. And so when the equation is PPC divided by sessions, if PPC spend remains the same and sessions go up because you're getting organic sessions, that number will go down. And so that has been a main metric for me to track. And so the way that I'm looking at ads now is, okay, there's two modes that we have to focus on. The first mode is scaling traffic and scaling sales. The second mode is cutting down on cost and becoming more profitable. And you'll notice here, we went from 2,600 to 3,000. Our profit went from 640 to negative 224, because when we're operating in the scaled traffic mode, we're testing a bunch of keywords. So we're identifying all of these keywords that we think they might work, that we think they might be profitable, and we launch them. And a subset of them are going to be profitable and they're going to make us money, and a subset are not. And so that's where you see an increase in PPC spend and an increase in total sales. But the increase in spend is not equal to the increase in sales. The sales only increased by 20% and the spend increased by 162%. We also look at the sessions. Sessions is the main indicator, because sessions is what we're using PPC for. So when we increase our PPC spend, we notice that our sessions go up. We say, okay, we're doing our job. It might not be that efficient. And so we go through maybe 2-3 weeks of this scaling mode, where your goal is to just identify as many profitable search terms as possible in the search term report and launch them, or do your keyword research, identify those keywords and launch them. And we don't know, are they going to work? They're not going to work. We're testing them. And so you do that and you scale your spending. And the goal is to scale your total sales as much as possible, scale your sessions as much as possible. And then the time comes to say, okay, we've invested enough now. We've grown in a month. This is in a week, right? In a week, we grow our sales by 20%. So let's say in a month, we grew our sales by 80% on average. So now we've grown our sales by 80%. It's like, okay, now it's time to identify all of the inefficiencies and remove them. So you move into this next mode. And the second mode is the increasing profitability and cutting down spend. The goal here is to maintain sales where they are and cut down your PPC spend. Now, keep in mind, if you're spending 700 a week on PPC, you might be like, okay, let's start right now by cutting for profit. The thing is, you have to keep in mind, realistically, maybe you're going to cut 20 or 30% and maintain the sales. So what's 20 or 30% of 707? Let's say, it's $200. Okay. So you can save $200 a week. So your profit is going to go from 640 to 840. That's it. However, when you scale the ad spend to 800 and 1880 or whatever, and you scale your sales, now you can cut down $800 and your profit can go a lot higher up. So a lot of people start with no money invested in ads, and they say, we need to get more profitable. We need our ACOS lower. Okay. And they care about these metrics, but if you're not spending that much money, there's only so much you can go down. And like the Dave Ramsey, he says you should save money. And then you have people like Grant Cardone is saying, like, how much money can you save? If your expenses are $5,000 a month, you can make them $4,000, $3,000, but that's it. Like, what are you going to live on $1,000 a month? But if your income is $5,000 a month, you can go 10,000, 15, 20, 100 million a month. So the ceiling is a lot higher. And so the same thing applies here. You can only save so much on PPC, but if you scale first, if you increase your revenue, then when you cut down on the ad spend, there's a lot more room here for profit. So that's kind of, one of the first scenarios. We'll look at another one, again, very similar. This is where, so we had increased And you can see here, we increased the spend 162%. Sales went up again by 20. And now we brought the spend down, and our total sales are up. So this, in a case like this, we look at the conversion rate. Our conversion rate is up. So that's probably why our sales are up. Conversion rate is up by 17.8%. And our total sales are up by 8.6. So even though we cut down the spend, let's look at the sessions. Sessions went down. So as we cut down the spend, our sessions went down. Now our sessions didn't go down as much as our spend went down, which means we did a good job at cutting down our spend efficiently, because we cut down spend where it didn't really matter that much. And then our sales have gone up. This is also an indication that you're starting to rank organically, because as you increase your spend, people are also seeing converting on keywords, and so your organic rank is going up. And so when you cut down that spend and you notice that your sales are still staying the same or even increasing in this case, it's probably because you're getting a nice little organic lift. And so that's the way that we should all be. I mean, that's the way that I think about ads, right? There's two modes here. One of the modes is to scale your traffic. And the first thing is you're looking at spend, you're increasing spend, you're looking at your sessions. Are the sessions going up? Yes. Are the sales going up? If they're not going up, maybe you have an issue in the conversion rate dropped. But like, here's a good example. Conversion rate is pretty consistent. Cost per session is a huge one, right? When we're looking here to cut down on PPC spend, what is our cost per session? If the cost of driving traffic has gotten lower, that means that we're doing our job. We're becoming more efficient with the ad spend. And then finally, if we start noticing that as we cut down spend, our sales are still, going up a little bit, it's probably because we're getting an organic lift. And so we've ranked higher organically. And then, there's more scenarios here. You'll notice, took the PPC spend from 3,000 to 8,000. We scaled our sales from 15,000 to 25,000. Again, looking at the sessions were 2,000, they're now 2,500. Our cost per session doubled. So it went from 1.59 to 3. So we achieved everything we wanted in the scale phase. And now the next phase is, okay, let's start cutting down, and the levers, I'll talk about very quickly before I wrap up the levers that we can pull. But you'll notice in the scale phase, we made $9,000 more in revenue, but we lost profit. And that's usually how it's going to work, because you're investing in testing and identifying new targets. You're spending a lot of money, you're making more sales, it's very inefficient. You reach a new benchmark, and then you cut down on the spend, all of the inefficient stuff, you reach a new higher benchmark and profit. Now there's two sets of levers to pull, one for the scaling and one for the optimizing. When we're talking about scaling, we're identifying profitable search terms and we're launching them in their own campaigns. We're increasing bids, we're increasing budgets, we're increasing bid by placement to show you up more for placement. So if you go into the placement report and you see that you're converting and have a higher ROAS and you're showing up better, higher click-through rate for top of search first page, you can increase that bid by placement, allowing Amazon to spend more money to show you there. And then you can launch additional placements like sponsor brand, display, and video. However, be careful. Monitor whenever you do sponsor brand, display, video, monitor your cost per session. If that number starts going up, you know that what you're doing is you're just launching ads where you were already going to convert. You're not getting new sessions. It's the same person clicking twice. And then on the cutting side, I wouldn't touch the budgets, right? Never lower the budgets, because the budgets allow you to play fairly. As soon as you start lowering the budgets, Amazon throttles how much, and this is anecdotal, right? I don't know what Amazon's doing. I don't work there. This is just what I'm seeing. So lowering the bids, and then identifying bad search terms with a higher ACOS or clicks and no sales, adding them as negatives, scaling down the sponsor brand, display, and video if it's not working effectively, and then finally, what else? Those are the if a bid by placement is not working, you're going to lower the bid by placements. So those are the only things you can do, and those are the levers that you can pull, right? So whatever mode you're in, pull those levers. Don't try and add negatives and lower bids and increase bids and launch new campaigns, because basically it's like saying I'm a bodybuilder and I'm bulking and cutting at the same time. You like one of them is you're trying to get bigger, and the other one is you're trying to lean down. So pick a goal, focus on that goal, track it. And if your goal is bulking or scaling, look at your sessions, make sure they're going up. Look at your revenue, make sure it's going up. Look at your conversion rate, make sure it's steady. If you're cutting, make sure your sales stay the same, make sure your sessions stay the same, make sure your cost per session is dropping, and obviously make sure your PPC spend is dropping. So that's the way that I would look at it. That's it for me. So good luck, guys. Hopefully this was useful. But ever since I started looking at PPC that way, it's been a lot clearer. I've been able to take a step back and then kind of look at patterns. I'll include an empty template of this, so you can go in. I suggest you pick one product at a time and then fill out that sheet for the last 4 to 6 weeks. It's a lot of data entry. You can have a VA do it, and then from there start noticing the trends. And when you notice, your spend is going up and your sales are not going up, maybe something's wrong there. Or if your spend goes down and your sales go down significantly, maybe you're cutting down the wrong things. But that's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Mina. You guys hear me? Give me the thumbs down. Okay, good. Okay, so whistle. Yeah, man, there was one.
The whistle man.
The whistle man.
Four either whistle. Okay. Okay, so let's say we've done the taxes, we've done the forex exchange, cost optimization. Then you're growing, scaling. At one point you're doing few million. Say, you know what? You're tired of doing all these PPC campaigns. It's hard work. So you decide, you know what? I would like to get a payout. And then you start looking and you go to the alphabet. Accel. Okay, so we have Sebastien from Accel. They're one of the aggregators, close partners of mine, and he's going to tell you what you need to know and how you can prepare yourself for an exit and get the nice payout and enjoy the life and retire for a few years. So thanks, Sebastien. Tell us now what you guys do and what you can do for the brand owner.
Awesome. I'll keep it close on time because I know that we are running. So I'm going to just sort of avoid going into a lengthy discussion on myself. I'll give you guys just a quick overview. I feel that most listeners or viewers probably have a decent sense of what who the major aggregators are in the market. And fully being honest and transparent, we're all relatively the same. We do obviously some things very differently. I would say one of the critical assets of Accel is that we are very operationally focused. So unlike some of the other larger names who went out, raised a bunch of cash, made some splashy acquisitions, and then tried to backfill their operations, we did the inverse. We actually have over 140 person headcount, with 85% being focused on operations and optimization, which would put us, I believe, in the top 5 in Europe by headcount. So a couple of things that we're going to cover off, just preparing your business for the exit in the future. Obviously, you don't necessarily need to do all these things in this order, but kind of understanding these 6 components is critical to making sure that you do receive the highest valuation possible. So trademark registration, IP rights, and patents. The reality is buyers, we are interested in buying an asset, not just digital real estate. We want something that is protectable, that is defensible, and long-term. So trademark registration, IP rights, and patents, they provide that moat around your business and around your brand. So definitely something you want to be painfully aware of. If you're not registered in particular countries, please do so. It's definitely a component that we review with diligence. We will also check in multiple countries and geographies. And obviously, if you're looking to expand, having the trademark registry there is very useful. Maintaining profitability. So just as both guys here were saying, profitability is the driving force behind acquisition. So although revenue growth is phenomenal, and obviously we do want to promote that, at the end of the day, we are valuing the businesses on an EBITDA basis or a profitability basis. And the multiples that we issue are a factor of that profitability. So you do want to maybe shift gears when going into an exit preparation and understand that profitability is a key driver to a high valuation. I think understanding add backs here, just a quick note on this, they can be simply defined as things that you can add back to the profitability that would not be there, would no longer be a cost upon acquisition, right? So obviously, if you have like a company car, your salary, maybe your own personal health insurance, I think everyone here can kind of cut through the noise and figure out what they can add back and what you can't. So I think that's sort of the key focus here is maintaining profitability, understanding your profitability profile in relation to the wider market, and even in relation to perhaps your category where you're operating. It may even be good to get a good sense of what your competition or peers rather, what their EBITDA margin is. So you have a good sense of where you're landing in the market. Focus on Amazon. So I think this goes without saying. Obviously, we want the majority of the sales to be running through the Amazon marketplace. Obviously, omni-channel is super important long-term, but I think for now, the model that most buyers are operating on is Amazon-centric, and therefore having the majority of sales through Amazon is important and definitely will drive the value a little bit higher. I think us as buyers and optimizers, it's more for us to acquire a brand and then take it across omni-channel or take it across multiple channels. And we're very good at that. We're very proficient in launching new marketplaces or adding additional Amazon geographies. So I think the main focus, if you're looking to exit, is be less concerned about diversifying your marketplaces or your channels and more focused on making sure their Amazon performance is at the best that it can be. Maintaining good account health. I think this might be an obvious one, but no black hat or gray hat tactics to be employed, no flags on the account. Be extremely mindful of this. It's incredibly important, especially going into an exit preparation. These, buyers are not going to be inclined to spend millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars on an asset that may have systemic risk in the future. And Amazon is becoming increasingly draconian on how it punishes these tactics. So it's definitely something to keep top of mind, especially if the exit conversation is in the next 3 to 6 months. One thing that I would say though is if you do have a flag on the account or something that a buyer should be aware of, just be transparent. Tell us what's going on. Explain it in layman's terms. Don't try to hide it. It's just going to come out in diligence anyways. The faster we can identify if this is something that is overcomable or not, the faster we can get to a decision. Nobody wants to be put under exclusivity just to have that that time wasted when they could have been talking to another buyer. So I think the idea here is just be transparent, be direct. There's no problem if something has happened. It's up to us as the buyer to measure that risk and make a decision on the basis. Simplify your process, supply chain where possible. Obviously, if you can increase the profitability of the performance or optimization of the brand, absolutely do it. I would stress though that this is sort of the least important on all of the 6 items that we're just covering off. This is something you can do when all other 5 have been accomplished or are in good standing. Obviously, we love if there's economies of scale, operational efficiencies to be had or increased profitability. But it is also, again, up to the buyer to drive that upward performance post acquisition. So less of a concern to us, but something to be aware of. And if you have an opportunity to increase, do it. Be wary of unrealistic valuations or evaluations. I would just say this is something to be noted. Expectation management is key to everything in life, especially when you're possibly making the biggest decision or most important decision of your professional career. This is probably up there with marriage and your first home purchase. We do just want people to understand that as much as we love certain brands, we are constrained by what potential prices we can offer, and the market is coming down slightly. I think valuations peaked around this time last year, maybe even slightly earlier than that. But I think we just need to be aware of where multiples are landing. Obviously, we have no problem engaging at a high level with any seller and kind of acclimate them or get them ready for what the multiples are trending towards in their category based on their revenue figures. So we're always happy to kind of have a really quick conversation and see if our valuations are kind of aligning with your exit expectations. But I think here the idea is just understand that the market is shifting a little bit, and we're definitely open to rewarding phenomenal brands with high multiples, and I'll shamelessly promote the fact that we are one of the higher payers. But it is important to have realistic expectations. Just because you had a friend who sold for 8x in June 2021 or June 2020 does not mean that will happen for everyone. So yeah, that's just wanted to really quickly go over what's going on. As far as selling actually getting into the process, it's extremely simple, transparent. It's introductory call, sign your NDA, send us 24 months of financials. We will send you the offer. You review that offer or the letter of intent, you sign it. We go into a closed period or into exclusivity, diligence is conducted, and you receive your cash. I just want to note that between letter of intent and actually receiving the money, sometimes there is still further negotiation. So you don't necessarily need to look at the letter of intent as the sort of written in stone in memorandum forever. It's just the point where we're starting. And again, can't stress enough that transparency is key because we don't want to find any financial skeletons in the closet once we get into diligence. So really quickly, when's a good time to sell? I honestly tell every seller, it really depends on you. This is, you have to make the best decision for you, for your family, for your future. I kind of use 3 key things that if you're still doing these things or enjoying these things, don't sell. If you're making great money, you're extremely confident in the growth, and you love what you do, maybe it's not the best time to sell, but there's always a counter to that. I would say that valuations are starting to come down, and there is a point where it's very difficult to scale the business aggressively, and that's when an aggregator can come in, step in, pay you, quite a nice and healthy multiple for that work that you put in, and you can take some chips off the table. So I will just say that going from a $5 million a year business to a $25 million a year business is a difficult process. Typically, you need a lot more capitalization. So maybe that's a good time to sell when you just know that your annual gains or your monthly gains are incremental. Obviously, the more risk as you grow, things become more complicated. Adding headcount, getting insurance policies, whatever the case may be. And I think finally, a good time to sell is if you have a financial imperative. If you're looking for a liquidity event, if you've been scraping by and putting every dollar back into your business for 5 years, and perhaps you're just slightly sick of the grind, and you just want to take some chips off the table, fully great time to sell. As soon as you kind of lose momentum in the business, or you're not as passionate, that's probably not a good sign. It probably means that the hours you're putting in will be less, and most likely the company, the brand will take a slight hit. So if you're not having fun, if you're not confident in the growth, if you want to take some chips off the table, that's a great time to engage in an exit conversation. So I know we're really mindful of time, guys. I don't want to run over too much and leave it for Q&A. So that's me. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nick, for putting this on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sebastian. Actually, good point at the end. I mean, I used to run e-commerce business for 10 years, supplement. Everybody knows how supplements are. And we're actually in the top of our game in 2015. We didn't know anything about aggregators, and then we just let it go down. And then when we saw the brands, it was half of what it was at the top. So selling at the top is the best advice, but it's hard to time the top. So and obviously, whenever you don't like what we're doing, whenever you start going down, then it's time to exit. Of course, you're not going to get the maximum valuation, but it's better than getting nothing. So I guess we covered the topic from start to finish. Now we have some questions, and we'll start with Sebastian first because he has to leave for another event in 10 minutes. So we have some questions from people about the acquisition stuff from before the event. The name of the registrant is Anthony, and Anthony is asking, are multiples decreasing on average across the market? I think you answered that, but you said they are.
Yeah, no, I'll just really quickly add to that, or add some, illustrate a little bit further. So yes, unfortunately, multiples are drifting down. I don't know. I don't pretend to have a crystal ball or know when that bottom will be met. But I do believe that the multiples will continue to decrease simply because the space is becoming incredibly difficult. Aggregators have a lot of catching up to do on performance. There might be some consolidation in the market as far as how many buyers are still available. So I would strongly suggest that, I would strongly guide that multiples will probably continue to drift down. That being said, the delta between a great brand and sort of an average brand is actually increasing massively. So great brands are still demanding and commanding strong multiples, and mediocre brands that maybe, during the fever pitch of acquisitions may have gone for a little more are coming back down to more of a normalized valuation or multiple. So to answer the question, yes, fundamentally they are drifting down.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. Another question from you. This time is from Benjamin. Benjamin is asking, how do you buyers reward future growth for the sellers?
Great question. So we obviously we're paying out on a multiple of EBITDA, so we are capturing some of the future growth. But if there is an initiative that is about to be implemented into the brand, something that's going to drive profitability forward greatly over the next, let's say, 6 or 8 months or a year, Accel is one of the few buyers that is able to do a reevaluation at a predetermined time. So, for example, 6 months in the future, which can capture a lot of that profitability upside that was not realized upon acquisition or at the time of acquisition. So, although we can't reward, an intangible, like we do need to work in absolutes. We can't reward what might happen. We definitely can look at the predictability of the growth and the trend analysis and the year-over-year growth, and slightly increase the multiple based on those performances, as well as this reevaluation tool, which would allow you to capture those growth incentives or those growth initiatives or profitability initiatives that you're looking to execute on over 6 months or 7 months.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. And one last question from Chung. What is the best, I guess, what is the most demanded category for aggregators on Amazon?
That's a great question, and I think it is a constantly changing goalpost. So I think it all depends on the aggregator. Every aggregator has a different set of preferences, and they're optimizing for certain things. I would say that the brand, the categories that are definitely sort of evergreen and commanding a higher multiple are things like baby, toys, outdoor, kitchen. I think things that are more difficult or very voluminous, like furniture, tend to not command a high multiple. Things that are extremely non-defensible or are very commoditized and sort of driven by price alone tend to not command a high multiple. So I guess I'm going to answer that question by more leaning towards what's not liked versus what is, because I definitely believe every buyer is constantly reevaluating their investment thesis based on the macro trends that are popping up and kind of driving just growth on Amazon. So hard to say, but definitely if you're in a heavily commoditized or extremely difficult shipping product space, you're probably going to have a lesser multiple than most, or let you be less attractive than other categories.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. So everybody, we can give big thumbs up to Sebastian. He needs to leave for another event. This week, everybody is doing webinars. I had no idea, but anyways, we're all in huge demand. So thanks, Sebastian. I know that you need to leave. So thanks for joining us, telling us about what you guys do, and then we'll continue with Mina and Ryan with the other questions, and of course some tax questions.
Thank you, Mina. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Nick. It's a pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Sebastian. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so let's do some other questions. So here we have from Peter, how can I avoid using Amazon currency converter for sellers? That's for you, Ryan.
Yeah, good question, Peter. So the best way to do that, and again, I alluded to, Amazon will opt you into that. You can go through their partnership provider network. So there are many participants. PingPong was the first 4 to be a part of that from day one. You would have to be accepted by one of those people in terms of your bank account and sign up through them. Otherwise, if you're selling in the US market, but you're not in the United States and don't have a United States bank account, they'll opt you into their own program. So you have to use an externalized participant of their program that they launched about a year ago. And that list is all available through Seller Central through the payment provider network. And PingPong is one of them. So of course we would want you to be a part of that.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. So we have 2 questions. I think it's for Mina. This is from Alien. Okay, Alien. Okay, Alien is asking, what is a good ACOS to have for PPC?
There's no such thing as a good ACOS. And I wouldn't even be tracking ACOS, because that's like saying what's a good weight to have. So everyone is different. What I would do is focus on your dollar amount in profit. So you have spend, you have sales, you know, you have your net profit, focus on increasing that dollar amount in profit instead of focusing on ACOS. ACOS is not really indicating of anything because it also only measures PPC, even though organic organic is influenced by PPC spend. So wouldn't look at ACOS. I wouldn't look at a good number. Look at your dollar amount in profit.
Okay, thanks, Mina. And another question for you, because I know that you're leaving for another event in like 10 minutes. So that's from Jordan. Okay, how often should you be going through cycles of optimization and scaling?
It really depends on you know how much progress you're making in a cycle. So if your revenue is going, if your spend is going up and your revenue is going up like this, don't stop it unless you're like really negative in the profits. But if you're at least breaking even, keep going up. As soon as it starts plateauing, you can go through a cycle of cutting down and trimming. Once you feel like that's plateauing again, or your sales start dropping a lot, then go back up into a new cycle. So the time doesn't really matter. It's looking at the data and seeing how it's changing. Because some people are spending $100,000 a month. Some people are spending, you know, $3,000 a month.
Okay, thanks, Mina. There's a few more questions, guys, and I think we can wrap the event. I'm not sure for who is this question, but I think it's for Ryan. This is from Anka. What is a buffer and how does it affect me when I pay a supplier?
I didn't catch the first part. Sorry, it was still whistling in the background. How does it affect paying a supplier? Can you read the first part, Nick?
Okay, here it is. What is a buffer and how
buffer.
does it affect me when I pay a supplier?
Gotcha. Yep. Sorry about that. So a buffer, a lot of people don't know this. When you're negotiating with a supplier and they give you US dollar, they're actually going to increase their cost by anywhere from 2 to 4%, and that's what they call a buffer. And the reason they do that is it's baked into the cost of your purchase order, and that's for currency conversion. So they're going to pass along currency conversion and the rates which are from US dollar to INR if you're in India, or in China it'd be the RMB. They're going to build that into their cost, so you're paying for that section of buffer in case valuations of currency changes over time. So sometimes it does affect in their favor, and they get more money out of you. Sometimes it does drop, but it's not at the rate of which you could be negotiating. When you can pay a supplier in a local currency, it's the number one thing to cut cost for you, and what you're paying in the US dollar, your own local currency, is making sure that they get paid out in their local currency. And that way they get their money quicker. They don't have to wait for banks to turn around money and convert it for them and pay those fees in association. So the buffer, what that is that built-in cost, and you can eliminate and again, add on 4 to 5% to your bottom line just by negotiating in local currency.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. And we have one last question. It's for me for the VAT from Jody. Hi, I have a question for hellotax. Do you offer your VAT service to non-EU residents? And also, do you offer UK VAT service? I answered Jody on chat, but yes, we offer VAT services for EU-based companies, non-EU. Anybody who is planning to sell in Europe, and you're selling online, you need VAT, so we cover that. We're tailored for e-commerce sellers, and that's why one reason why we do this webinar is because you guys need VAT, but you need much more than that. And I hope that you enjoyed the event. We'll send the follow-up email with the giveaways, 5,000K. You don't need all of what we offer, but I'm sure you might benefit from either the PPC, PingPong, hopefully Accel. Then the giveaway would be much bigger. Or anyways, guys, so thanks for having me. Sorry about the whistling stuff. Next time I promise I'll get some mics. I do so much events. I should have one a proper setup. So thanks, Mina. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the evening, enjoy the day in the States, and have fun in the next event, Mina.
Thanks, everyone.